You're listening to the show that Hulk Hogan tweeted he doesn't want you to hear. Shake, rattle, and roll, brother.
Hello.
Oh, what a rush.
What's up?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what, Sergeant Slaughter was just on, and I don't know, you know, I've been saying I'm like a kid in a candy store with every guest, and to have Road Warrior Animal On fans and the 30 or 40,000 people listening tonight, we've had a wonderful show, and it's only going to get better in the next half hour, and I'm so glad you're on with us.
Well, thanks a lot for having me, man. I tell you, Honky, all it took was, you don't have to ask me twice, man. You know, I do your show anytime, and I've heard through the grapevine that the show's been doing well, and I'm happy for all your success, man.
Yeah, and I like to start at the front end and try to work our way back, usually with everyone, so that I'll give you all. I'll set you all up for this because it's the way I want to say it. You know, you have a fabulous book out there right now that's doing wonderful. Hall of Fame inductee this year, which was fantastic. And I've always said it, the greatest tag team that ever was put in the wrestling business, the Road Warriors, and bar none, I don't care what they called you or how they changed your name or repackaged you. You guys were the Road Warriors, and I've always said the greatest tag team that was ever out there.
Oh, man, I appreciate that. I know if Hawk were here right now, he'd appreciate it too, you know. We were lucky we got Paul Ellering thrown in the mix with us right in the beginning, and Paul was a lifesaver for Hawk and I. You know, we were just two dumb bouncers off the street, and he guided us the right way, and, you know, we got to achieve what we got to achieve. And, you know, through the great career, you know, I had the opportunity to write that book, you know, The Road Warriors, Danger, Death, and the Rush of Wrestling, and we just made the bestseller list. We're on Amazon.com, the #1 rated wrestling book, and you know, so things could be going well. And then you got the Hall of Fame, man, the creme de la creme. You know, you got the WWE pulled out the red carpet, as you know, Honky. It's a heck of an honor, and you know they do it first class, and it's just been a whirlwind of a year, you know.
Yeah, you've had, the last 12 months with the book and everything, and then the Hall of Fame coming. It's really been a big deal for you. And of course, you know, I want to mention your son quickly. That's a great football player. Was Ohio State, had the Nagurski Award, and fantastic athlete. And for all the fans out there, I remember you telling me when he was just a young boy that you were the coach and you helped. Hey, he owes it to you. You trained him, man.
Yeah, me making all these deals with Mr. McMahon and Jim Crockett and all these other guys that, hey, I'll come work for you, but I got to go home and coach games on Saturday mornings, you know, and flying back out Saturday night to go to the event. It drove me nuts, but you know what? I didn't want to be one of those dads that was you know, you were involved in your kid's life. You know, do as I say and not as I do. You know what I mean? I want to be the guy, right. You know. So yeah, well, I was there.
I know the words you're looking for. We call them Disneyland dads, the ones that come home once a month and just shower the kids with anything they want, as opposed to being there to help train them like you did young James.
Yeah, I didn't want to be the Disneyland dad. I would have rather been I would have much rather been the haunted house dad and been there and let him know I'm over his shoulder, you know. You know what I mean? in a good way. You know, but well, you know, he was a good kid, man. He took to everything I ever said. And, you know, all my kids were great athletes. My daughter was one of the best hockey players in the state of Minnesota, and you know, so it's you know, they all listen well, and they're all good kids. They never were troublemakers. And like I got lucky. Thank God they didn't get none of my qualities, because they would have been a mess.
Well, you know, that's what I say around this house. Please, you know, you see what I've done to myself. Don't do it to yourself. But tell us about the book now and how the people can get it. And are you still on the book tour?
Yeah, I am. I just got done. I just was at the infamous Bookends in Ridgewood, New Jersey, any sports autobiography that's written a good book, I guess, has been the Bookends. It's a great location. And I also was at the place called the Book Review Friday night on Long Island. So that took care of just my first stop in New York City. I plan to go back here probably again in the fall. But, I've been to the Mall of America. I've been to Chicago. I've been all over the place with it, and it's actually going great. Once the things settle down with the CBA agreement, I'll be hitting the state of Missouri there because of the St. Louis Rams, and I'll be hitting Ohio, too, because of my son James, like you said, playing, he's a three-time All-American there. So we'll go hit that market. It's a warm market for us. And people in Ohio are great wrestling fans anyway,
Yes, they are.
But yeah, it's a good book. I took about 8 years off on writing a book after Hawk had passed away, just because some of the books that came out were great, and some of the books that came out were like kiss and tell books. Some of the guys telling on each other, and like I didn't want to get into that kind of book. You know what I mean? I wanted it to be a celebration of a wrestling career, and I just confirmed what a lot of people's suspicions were about kayfabe and a lot of those other things and I tried to explain it in a different way where it wasn't like giving up our business right up to these people, So, I've gotten great reviews on it, and not one review has come back bad. So I'm really proud. I wrote it with a guy. My ghostwriter was Andrew William Wright out of Newark, New Jersey. He's a great guy. He's in the middle of doing Booker T's book right now. So, it's been real well, and I love the book tour. Honky, like you, I really respect my wrestling fans, so I get to go around the country and see fans that I've not seen for a long time, because I have not been in the ring for a while. So it's kind of like a nice rebirth, My Legends figures are doing great with WWE, and the folks doing great in this Hall of Fame, and then there's the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame up in Amsterdam, New York here this next Saturday that we're getting inducted into. So we got another one coming yet. So
that's really great, and it's like you said about the WWE Hall of Fame thing. They do roll out the red carpet for you, and it is a big honor to be there and do that. And of course, the Upstate New York Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame is truly an honor.
Yeah, it is, and that's sent out to 60 of your peers that you've been in the wrestling ring business with, and only 30 of them vote, and they vote back in on it. So you're voted in by the guys who have paved the way before you and have been in the ring with you. And it's just a respectful thing, and that's a real prestigious honor,
Yes, it is, and I can't think of anyone who deserves it more than the Road Warriors and Paul Ellering. And I only ran across Paul like one time since he left the business and started doing all the itinerant stuff or whatever they call it up up there, but. You guys were so fabulous, and I can remember watching you guys on the Superstation, WTBS, 5:06 every Saturday afternoon on cable. And I looked and I saw you guys, and I said, this is really something. And you guys set the standards for every other, I say, a power tag team. Because you were powerful guys who did power moves, and they were such a contrast in styles, and that's what makes a good tag team. Hawk was the razzmatazz guy, and you were the big, strong, go in there and beat the crap out of somebody.
Yeah, one thing we try to do, man, and it's a tribute to the guys we got to work in the ring with, because you're only as good as the opponent you're in the ring with, It's such I try to explain to people out there, the fans, this wrestling business is such a brotherhood that, one thing I'm proud of is that we never, because we were thrown in there right in the mix right away, is that we never hurt anybody. And that thing, I think that's one thing that mystique that was ahead of us that people thought, oh no, no one wants to wrestle the Road Warriors. They're going to hurt you. They don't want to be businessmen. And when I was looking back writing this book, Honky, if you would have seen all the jobs we've done in the first year and a half of this business, I said, what in the world are these people talking about? Because it's a little ins and outs that some of the boys or the fans don't know. But hey, back then half the guys were afraid to get in the ring with us. So I think we did our job all right back then, but it was all we always respected the business and the guys and what it took to get to where any level in the business,
Anytime you can have the locker room afraid to get in the ring with you, you're obviously doing a pretty good job. I was afraid to get in the ring with Lou Thesz, but he was one of the greatest workers in the world. But I was scared to death of the man until I went in the ring with him.
You know, I thought the same thing when we first got in the ring in Japan with Billy Robinson and even Les Thornton. He's not that big, but he just is such a shooter. You know, but that's the way this business is, man. You know, just like at a recent situation I was in, you know, people, sometimes they read you the wrong way, and sometimes, you know, I just got misquoted in an article. I mean, out of all the things that have happened great in my life here, and the things that are going on with the WWE rolling out the red carpet, you know, some goofball misquoted me as, I mean, it doesn't even make sense as bashing the wellness program of the company, right? And I'm thinking, well, all that I know is that anybody gets hurt now or needs a neck operation or gets injured, the WWE is the first one to step up and take care of it. You know, so
yes.
I just want to make it clear out there, if anybody's read that article from Power Slam Magazine, I did not bash the WWE. I did not hammer the WWE. I did not hammer the wellness policy. I do not have a comment on it. I think it's great that the guys have insurances now and are protected in the ring. Because back in Honky and your and I day, we weren't protected. If we didn't have our own insurance and our own stuff, we kind of were hosed in a way. So there was no taking any time off when we got hurt. We just kept going, and we kind of played hurt. You know what I mean?
Yes, and, you know, it's a whole other program about misquotes because I've probably been misquoted.
Yeah, you've had one or two in your time. I know that.
I have been misquoted more than anyone in this business. There's more scuttlebutt and things. Listen, if you want the truth, ask me. I'll be more than happy to tell you. But if you don't want it, don't go around behind my back and say something. And I know you. And I for the fans that don't know, we as I've talked with Sergeant Slaughter earlier, we all missed each other, and I missed you guys for about 20 years of my career because we never crossed paths.
Yeah. Everybody was just in a different territory at one time. Right?
And then when we did cross paths, the Road Warriors and Honky Tonk Man, we were, like you said, a real brotherhood. And you mentioned Hawk earlier. And not only was it's a professional sadness for me, but a personal sadness of his passing because he had called me about 2 weeks before and wanted me to help him with the eBay stuff and get his website going. He was so happy and so excited about, man, this thing you're doing, this website is great, and I want you to help me. And I was more than willing to do it. And then all of a sudden the bad news came, and gosh.
I remember him telling me about that, man. You know, for the people that didn't know Hawk, you know, Hawk was bigger than life. I mean, Hawk was the guy that had the heart of the state of Texas, and if he didn't have the money to borrow you, if you needed money, he'd borrow from me and say, Animal, I'll pay you back because this guy needs money. I mean, that's just the kind of guy Hawk was. You know, yeah, okay, he had one or two things that were negative, but hell, who doesn't in this wrestling business? Everybody does, you know. But Hawk, yeah, man, he's been greatly missed. You know, he used to kid around. We were talking about kids and family and being that kind of dad. Hawk said, "Hey, look at this face. I'll never do this to a kid." You know, and you know that was his humor. He was my kid's uncle. You know, and he loved my kids, and you know he just loved kids in general. And that was his love. He wanted to be a part of that. You know, yeah, man. It's definitely not the same. It's been almost 9 years, man. It's just like yesterday.
I know. I was watching. I was, in fact, you were mentioning where you were on the weekend up in New Jersey and New York. I was on Staten Island on Saturday, and I was in Brooklyn on Friday night, and then I was in New Jersey on Saturday night also. But I saw when I was doing autograph signing at one of these sports places, they had your guys' introduction to your Hall of Fame being inducted, and showing these old clips and then showing new clips and everything. And I sat there and I looked, and you guys were so ahead of your time, so ahead of everyone else that it's and you know, when you're like that, you'll live forever. You never die.